Coastal Bend Meteorologist. Hey there, Coastal Bend Meteorologist Carly Smith here. I believe we are live. I was looking at my graphics and totally have not opened it up on my Facebook app here, but I hope everyone's having a terrific Tuesday. We've got a lot going on today, starting with fog. If you live anywhere near water, you're like, oh my goodness, it's so foggy. That is going to impact the sea turtle release coming up. Fog is expected at the beach, so driving, visibility at the beach, all expected to be really low in the area. So I've got the comments up now. It's kind of, the signal has it all blurry looking on my phone. Anyway, comments are up, so feel free to ask questions. We are talking about, well, the fog now. We've got storms possible tonight, yeah, and those storms will probably be loud. They'll come with some lightning. They probably will wake you up. We could have some thunder, or lightning obviously comes with thunder, and so all of this is what we're going to focus on. How much rain we're going to see, our storm potential, our storm risk, what the models are looking at for tomorrow, which is a little bit in question, and when you should be concerned for the potential for maybe some minor wind damage. And then additionally, I don't think our hail will be too large down here in South Texas, but there is a hail threat and a very, very, very low tornado threat, but it's not zero. But our gloominess, our cloudiness right now is going to work to limit some of that severe weather risk. So I'm going to just go ahead and get started. So one thing that I want to talk about while I've got y'all here, around what time tonight? So about after 6 p.m., after the sun sets, which also limits our severe weather risk as well. But this is artwork featuring what it's going to look like, basically. This is Peter in 2nd grade. Don't forget that I use kids' artwork to help me tell the weather story every morning. It's a fun way to incorporate your kid, give them a reason maybe to watch the news or wake up on time. Color the weather at KIIITV.com. It's usually featured during the 6:30 to 7 o'clock half hour. So recess today, not expecting that to be stormy. Here's the timeline. So I got a question about the time. Soccer games tonight at 8 p.m. We'll break it all down on Futurecast, but storm chances start going up right about that time. So between 7 and 9 p.m., our storm chances start going up, but they're going to start off to the west and then move east across the area. So Gregory, Portland, you could be okay. We'll break it down on Futurecast though. Then overnight, so 9 p.m. up to 11 p.m., specifically 11 p.m. till about 5 a.m., we're going to see the risk for those stronger storms. They could be severe, but also flooding, especially isolated areas where the heavier bands of rain wind up setting up. That could create some flash flooding that will have everything you need to know heading out the door 5 to 7 a.m. on First Edition tomorrow morning. So don't forget to watch. Okay, here's the Futurecast. So as far as today goes, not a lot of rain. Overall, fairly gloomy, mild, muggy day. Temperatures making their way into the 70s. You do notice a few spotty showers. We still have that dense fog across our water, so marine fog advisory is still in place through 2 p.m. Then this is 7 p.m. We start to see the storms forming west. This is model number 1. Model number 2 has them coming in a little bit earlier, about an hour or two earlier. But Gregory, Portland looking okay for the game to get started, but Kingsville also. So here's the timeline. Everybody find your city, find the biggest city around your small city, and we will break it all down. So Ingleside would be the Gregory, Portland area on this map, right? So 9 p.m. is when rain starts to enter the area. Now this right now doesn't look stormy to me. I will say the first signs of lightning probably showing up to the west right about 9 p.m. As we continue along, this is when we're starting to get the lightning risk going up by 10 p.m. If that soccer game could start early, it would be a lot easier to fit it all in. But the ending of this game does become a little bit icy and dicey. Oh, somebody doesn't have school tomorrow. That's good. Then, as we head into the 11 o'clock hour, midnight, this is when things start to get really stormy. So 10 o'clock is a close call for that game up there, the Gregory Portland soccer game, but by midnight. Pretty confident we're going to have those strong. This is when it becomes possibly severe. Lightning will be possible. Now, a couple of things working against these storms does include the fact, A, that we're cloudy all day. That will limit our instability, but still having enough for storms to potentially develop. Again, overnight activity usually is weaker than during the day activity, just naturally because the sun is our energy source, right? And so when you don't have that sunlight, you have less energy. But with that being said, we still have enough things going on in our atmosphere for there to be enough instability for some storms to develop overnight. So it's more the level of their strength that could potentially be inhibited due to the timing. Then this model has activity really clearing out by the morning commute, and it doesn't look too bad. I'm going to show you another model just so you're aware of the two different scenarios that can come into play and why. I'll analyze which one I really think will be better. This is the one I went with all morning because the other model really tends to overdo things. And if we do get a line like this to develop, right? This is like a cluster along a line that pushes all the activity to our north. Essentially, I think that it will clear out by the morning, but it all depends on kind of how the activity forms. I think we will still see storms into Wednesday. I think this is underdoing it now. I think the overnight activity is good, but heading into late Wednesday morning, afternoon, I think this model is underdoing it right now. But you do see the showers and the storms showing up, right? So we'll continue to see activity through tomorrow afternoon. Then a front moves through. So right behind the front, we have one more piece of instability that slides through Wednesday night into Thursday morning. And then notice the wind shift. So watch the little wind dial out of the north. So we've got south winds through Wednesday evening. Then they shift out of the north Wednesday night around 10:30. That wind shift is a cold front that moves through, and that is going to briefly dry us out, or really start the drying out process, and we'll see some sunshine trying to peek through on Thursday, which would be fabulous. So with all of that being said, these are the three things you need to know. We've got our chance for storms tonight, gusty conditions today, and then especially with the storms, we could see 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. There's a low risk for flash flooding, but the risk is still there. So here's a lookout sign from the Lex camera. Foggy, foggy, foggy. Yeah. Not everyone's dealing with this. If you're inland, you're barely noticing the fog now. In fact, we do have, so this is the marine fog, creating low visibility through Rockport, Port Aransas, and the Naval Air Station, as well as Padre Island. Visibility is down to about a quarter of a mile or less, right? Inland, much improved conditions, so Corpus Christi, we're doing fine unless you're along that water. Robstown's fine. Orange Grove is dealing with a little bit of radiational fog right now. But most of the day today, fine conditions, just a few spotty showers, and of course the fog near our bodies of water. That dense, or that marine fog, hold on, let's get the advisory up. So what we have in terms of our watches and warnings, well, they're advisories. So we've got a dense fog advisory for those marine locations through 2 p.m. And then we also have a small craft advisory. That's well offshore. Under the marine fog advisory, there's no small craft advisory. Additionally, up here, this is a flood warning in effect through this evening. And so 10-12 p.m. More rain is expected to fall, though, so the Aransas River there near Skidmore, I expect there's a chance that you get another flood warning. But essentially, this river was last recorded at 14 feet, at 14 feet, moderate flooding does occur, and we are expecting it to get to around that level. So last checked, it was 13.1 feet yesterday evening. Bank full stage is 7 feet. The crest is expected to be 14.5 feet by this evening. By yesterday evening. So we're right at flood stage as of yesterday, which is 13 feet. So low-lying areas in this region of Bee County, use caution. That's the best advice I can give. no, there's a 6 p.m. game also. Yeah, the traveling home will be the more active time than getting there. So hopefully the game gets played and y'all all accomplish things safely. But there is a decent risk of lightning. I don't have this data on a map that I can show you, but I'll look at it real fast. It's just an easy way to tell lightning, and it breaks it down. Again, you won't be able to see it, but I can see what time this model expects lightning to develop. So there is a chance that lightning is in the area by 8 p.m. Most of the lightning, though, will still be to our southwest. The lightning risk goes up by 10. So yeah, again, hopefully the game gets played in full, but if the lightning obviously is the reason for delays, and there is a chance for strong to severe thunderstorms now, we'll break that down next. So on this feature cast, this is why we have all the stormy activity happening. So right now, about 12 p.m., we've got a boundary that's to our north. There's a trough off to the west. What's going to happen is we get one of those burst of energies. We get a burst of energy that's coming around this low pressure trough that has developed to our west, right? So this trough, you can see these little spotty areas. There's one right there between Corpus and Houston. That's going to be that energy that fires up those storms coming up later this evening. So these pieces of energy coming around this low pressure trough is, first of all, the position of this trough is putting us in a stormy pattern. Second of all, these pieces of energy are the little extra boost that the atmosphere needs to produce a thunderstorm. And so that's why overnight, starting as early as 6 p.m., but closer to that 8 p.m. to about 1 a.m. in the morning range, is when we are under that greatest risk for a thunderstorm around this low pressure trough. Then as we head into Wednesday, so that last model I showed you I think is underdoing it for Wednesday, but we get another round of one of those pieces of energy coming up into Wednesday, but then Thursday, so essentially right here, I'm trying to find the cold front. Right here at the surface, there's a front that moves through. And so that front is going to briefly, or start the drying out process heading into Thursday. Then, let me clear the front. As we head into Friday, there's another front that's associated with this low, but this front is moving in drier. You can see a lot of the energy from the low is further to our north. We're not getting a lot of those little breakout pieces on the south side of this. And so once that moves out, this cold front is going to get dragged across the area. And then we head into a little bit more of a ridge, and that leads to a drier pattern just in time for the weekend. But let's break down the surface again. So if you're still with me, thanks again for watching. I'm meteorologist Carly Smith. This is our timeline for storms. This afternoon, a spotty shower won't be thunder. It's this. So this is that piece of energy that I was talking about coming up, starting around Laredo. It interacts with that trough, and the storms get stronger. So that's that black line on the map. So by 10 p.m., that's when we're starting to see thunderstorms. This model having a thunderstorm in the San Patricio County, Aransas County, Refugio County area by 10 p.m. Then we move it on along. Some of the strongest activities right around midnight, and then this model has it really clearing out into the morning. And I think that will be true. I think we'll get some dry time in the morning, but I think some of those storms that are developing closer to San Antonio and Houston along I-10 are actually going to be developing as this front is pushing south, and I think that we still will get some storm activity into Wednesday. And so this model shows the storm activity into Wednesday, but I do think that this model is overdoing it a little bit. So this starts to bring the storms in as early as 8. So that means that that soccer game may not get played. The stronger severe storms are going to be further south though, so Baffin Bay area is kind of the target for those storms as we head into the 8 o'clock hour. We'll see storms continuing. Again, both models are kind of in agreement. It gets a little bit more stormy for Corpus Christi by 10 p.m. and that will continue through about 4 a.m. So 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. I think it won't be quite as active by 4 a.m. as this model is showing into tomorrow morning. But that's something we will be watching. If this kind of cluster behind that first line is able to develop, we'll have really rough conditions heading to work tomorrow morning. If it doesn't, if it plays out like the other model does, which I think this one is overdoing it. I think the other one is a little bit better in the morning, but what I agree on with this model is kind of this front is a little bit early. It probably looks more like this because I just copied and pasted the other one on here. But it's probably going to shape up a little bit more like this. And so with this stationary front staying to our north and then pushing south as a cold front right through here, I need it to change to a cold front sooner. Let's see. So once it starts moving south, I think we will see storms developing. Now, some of those it's going to be coastal areas that have the greater risk of these storms. And this will be Wednesday evening into Thursday morning. So Wednesday evening and Thursday morning, I think once again, we have a chance for some thunderstorms in the area. Then those will clear out. This model is done at 6 a.m. So that will start clearing out by 6 a.m., but that will have another chance for some flooding as we're heading out to work Thursday morning. So those are my thoughts. Hopefully you interpreted that. One of the reasons that we are under the risk for some storms is we're in this little triangle area where the Gulf moisture is coming up to that stationary front. We've got a trough off to the west, and essentially with that low kind of hanging out in the region, that's going to give a little bit more of a chance for some rotating winds in the upper levels of the atmosphere. And that shear is needed for storms to develop. Additionally, so our wind is out of the southeast right now. I posted this really cool time lapse that shows the fog conditions this morning before it got too dense. And what you see is the fog is coming off the bay, and so our kind of southeast across the bay or across downtown. So the view is looking like the view would be like looking from the Lex camera toward downtown, right? But the wind is going this way with the fog. And then in the upper levels of the atmosphere, we've got our higher level clouds going this way across the camera. And it created this really cool view. So you should check that video out. Carly Smith WX is my Facebook page, but also it's really fascinating. And what that is indicating though is we have the wind going different directions at different levels of the atmosphere. So these green little lines shooting across the screen right now, that is showing our low level winds. And then in the upper levels of the atmosphere, we have southwest winds. And so that is enough wind shear for if a storm does develop, it will help it last longer and produce more rain and produce that hail risk. So I'm going to clear this out and start over. So we're in this pocket where we have low levels of storm energy, but enough storm energy when combined with the shear for those storms to get going. So what you see here is where all of the storm energy is weakening. That's where it's raining out and cooling the air down and trying to restabilize the atmosphere. So that's happening around midnight to our north. But look, it stays pretty active to our south. And that's why I think that the first model I showed you is underdoing the amount of rain we see on Wednesday. I think we'll still be rather stormy on Wednesday. We get higher levels of that instability. And then as this front pushes south, we lose all of our instability. We lose our rain chances and we start to dry out, and we'll see some sunshine heading into Thursday afternoon, which would be amazing. So overall, we're in the stormy pattern right now because of the trough, that loop downhill part of the roller coaster. We get a secondary wave of a trough that produces a cold front, but not a whole lot of rain. Because of the way it comes in, it comes from the north and then digs over the plains. It's not quite tapping into that Pacific moisture enough to bring us the rainfall needed with this system. Then we get into a drier pattern. We get kind of that uphill part of the trough, and we see sunshine into the weekend. So here's that 7-day forecast with my social media handles if you're interested in following. We get that 60 to 80% chance of storms, mostly overnight, but Wednesday I think is going to be stormier than the first model I showed you guys. Isolated showers possible as the front pushes through into Thursday, but then we see the sun breaking through into the afternoon. We see some clouds with that secondary front moving through, but then sunshine for the weekend. Lows fall back into the 40s, no freezing conditions expected, and it's a pleasant weekend overall. I'm looking forward to it. So I'm going to go through these questions. Okay, I think we're all caught up. Arturo says more rain. Chewy says, good morning, and thanks for the live forecast. So, Diana, I hope the game gets played. It will be a close call, though. We'll just have to see how the storms start developing around the 6 o'clock hour to our west. If they're starting to develop, then we can get a motion of how quick they're moving, and we'll really know the forecast by then. But there is a chance for lightning. I think it's a greater risk closer to 10, 11, midnight, but regardless, definitely a close call. The thunder Sunday night was very loud. Yeah, it's going to be like that again tonight. So that's what we've got. Thank you, everyone, for watching. I'm meteorologist Carly Smith. Don't forget, I posted a link to the weather page on KIITV.com. If you download our app, you can also go to the weather page that way, and it's a great resource with updates from our team of meteorologists and our numbers and everything you need to know. So that's all we have for now. Have a terrific Tuesday. And stay weather aware, but just make sure you bring in, outdoor decorations that you don't want to blow away, because these storms could produce some of those stronger wind gusts.